Okay. Are we good here? Yeah, looks like it. Okay, good. I have this stream up, and I'm basically... Oh, this is the wrong thing, though. This is not TF2. Edit stream info. Not world's worst config. Streaming games I have... Oh. Tier list of games I have played in the last 10 years. And this is going to be just chatting or something. Just chatting. That'll work. So what is this going to be? Basically the idea with this is... Let's do this. The idea is going to be... We got some rules for what these games are. And I'm gonna see how this works. Okay. It's going to be rules. I think I want this color to be black. Hello? Okay. Whoa, what's going on with that? Okay. Rules. Okay. Played in last 10 years is one of the rules. And this is too big. I'm gonna put this here. Played in last 10 years. So single player, it has to be single player. Because multiplayer games are kind of a different beast. And it's got to be played more than 1 hour. Played more than 1 hour. Than 1 hour. So like really short games don't count. Hopefully this is legible. And then I think the last thing is it has to be on the computer is another thing. On the computer. So like not our game that's exclusive to console. I should also say predominantly. Right? Predominantly single player. Because there are games like Risk of Rain that I left off this because I've mostly played them in co-op mode, although they are like single player games as well. So that's like the ground rules of this tier list. Right. What else is... Okay. So then I think the next part of this is I'm going to go on Steam and I'm going to look at the games and talk about them a bit. So I've got the Steam store page open, and for games that are not on Steam, we'll do something else. Just look at like a YouTube video while I talk about it. So those are kind of the basic ground rules. I've made 5 tiers. This is for things that like I think had like a big effect on me, kind of influential, or like just very unique, very kind of fresh feeling, things that just kind of did something different that were really, really well done. This is for games that I really, really enjoyed. So this is like the A tier, just games that are really, really solid and I can't really fault in many ways. And then this is going to be where most games are, because I generally play things that I think I'm going to like. And then this is like games that were kind of, you know, they're not... I didn't think that they were particularly disappointing or bad. But you know, they weren't great. So you know, yeah, just things that kind of were whatever for me, I guess, are in this tier. And then this is the, you know, Peter Griffin. I did not care for The Godfather, right? It's like I didn't enjoy this game, or it just wasn't for me when I was playing it. So, okay, there's a load of like indie games in here. Some roguelikes, some sort of regular things. So the first game on the list, I know I realize that this is cut off, but I'll be looking at the store page. So the first game on the list is ABZÜ, which is a game where, yeah, it's muted. It's basically a swimming game by the Journey people. So you're like swimming around amongst, and this is not a good frame rate on this video, but oh well. You're swimming around amongst like jellyfish and various fish, and it's kind of just a diving simulator, but it has kind of a story to it. It's very pretty, it's very chill, it's relaxing. And yeah, it's by the people who made Journey, which I think is a fairly famous game. I really enjoyed this. I had a lot of fun with this. This game is very, very beautiful. It's nothing sort of crazy in terms of like having a story or, you know, being sort of a really, you know, cool game, but it's very chill and I really enjoyed it and it's just fun to play. So where would I put this? I feel like this is like, I don't know if I'd say I love this game, although I think it's kind of the best game that I've played that does the sort of thing that it does. So maybe, you know, I can't fault it, but I'm gonna put it in the liked tier to start with, and then we'll see, you know, maybe it gets bumped up later, but this is kind of on the boundary between these two. I would say I very much enjoyed this game, and I'm gonna order these, so yeah. Next game is Antichamber. I think this was fairly well known around the time that it came out. I played this in about 2017, I think. I actually completed it. So this is like a first-person puzzle game, kind of like Portal. And I apologize for the Steam video frame rate. I don't know what's up with that. Steam's a piece of shit. This game is cool. I thought it has very unique puzzles. I think that it's been a while since I played this, right? It's been like 5 years. So I'm just trying to think. This is not, I mean, he's just showing you going up a thing, but it has a lot of kind of impossible geometry type stuff going on. It's got these puzzles where, you know, the direction you're looking, and then it's got these puzzles with these sort of cubes, right? That you can place in different places, and the different colors of cubes have different properties. It's sort of a fun puzzle game. If you like Portal, I don't think it has like the writing of something like Portal, but it's definitely, in terms of its puzzles, in sort of a similar vein. In fact, probably, I don't know, maybe some of the puzzles in this are like more interestingly designed, or there's just more mechanics to interface with than the Portal games, which kind of keep it simple. Here we go, here's the cube stuff, yeah. And there's sort of a lot of very, I wouldn't call them unintuitive, they're surprisingly intuitive mechanics, but they're sort of, like, unconventional would be the word I'd use, right? Like, he's building a staircase out of blocks for him to move up and stuff like that, and some of the puzzle solutions were really interesting in this, so I definitely liked this game. I don't know that I liked it as much as ABZÜ, so I'd probably put it like here, somewhere in the sort of solidly in the liked place. Next game is kind of similar to something like ABZÜ. It's called A Short Hike. This is kind of just a cute little game where you're flying around, and you go on a hike, and there's sort of lots of little side quests that you can choose to do or not, or you can just sort of choose to go to the top of the mountain. And it's kind of in a similar vein to ABZÜ in that it's just kind of this beautiful world that you can kind of walk around in and do stuff. I would say that the gameplay is different because ABZÜ's less sort of side questy. You know, ABZÜ's kind of a linear story-based game where you can just sort of stick around in an environment and look at stuff, and this is just sort of a little exploration game, lots of little things to do. Kind of reminds me of games that I used to play by blanking. Was it Vector Park? It kind of reminds me both in the sort of style of it and the sort of having a lot of things to interact with, although obviously there's kind of a narrative and, you know, you actually talk to people and there's dialogue. But they made a game called Windowsill. They made a load of Flash stuff in the early 2000s. How many games are on this total? 62. So that's like an average of like 6 games a year. But it's definitely been more in recent years. I used to just play TF2, and now I play sort of more different things. So yeah, this game is cool. I recommend this. I played this like last year. Yeah, 62 is pretty good. Like, it's not a bad number. It won't take me forever to do this, I don't think. You can't actually read this at all, but you know, there's rules up here. So I think I'm just gonna like with everything, I'm gonna put this in light tier because you know, I like most games. Okay, I've got something that I'm not gonna put in light tier. So this, sorry, I'm gonna knock my mic. That'll happen sometimes. So this game, Bastion, is like, it's by, I believe by the people who made Hades. It's made by Warner Brothers, I had no idea. Or published by Warner Brothers, probably. But Supergiant Games, I might be completely wrong about this, but I think these guys made Hades and a few other things. It's got this kind of similar art style, and they made another one called Transistor. This was like the first big game that they made. I remember this being really popular. Yeah, 2011. And I'm not going to give this game a good score, or like a good tier, even though I've kind of enjoyed it every time I've played it. But for whatever reason, I've like started this game multiple times, and I thought that the mechanics were cool, and then I just never finished it. So yeah, I think this game is regarded as like very good. Yeah, overwhelmingly positive, right? But I just couldn't, for whatever reason, it didn't suck me in. So I'm gonna give this like it was okay, you know, it's kind of meh. But I think it's probably better than that, and it's just that I wasn't, you know, in the mood for playing it because I tried to play it like I've started this game like 3 or 4 times. So this is gonna get a meh from me, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. Let's see. BIT.TRIP.RUNNER. This is an old game. 2011, I guess, as well. This doesn't even have a video. That's crazy. That's actually insane. So BIT.TRIP.RUNNER, I think that this is probably, again, like, it was in the sort of first wave of indie games that people played. Came around the same time as like the original Binding of Isaac. It's got references to other indie games, like there's Meat Boy in one of these screenshots I just saw. This game's just a runner game. You just kind of run and jump and slide. It's kind of like a mobile game. I think it was very popular, and it has a good soundtrack and whatever. But like, it's not... I feel like now this game is not really that much. You know, it's probably a good example of this genre of games. But yeah, I'm not really about this. I would say I didn't really care for this. So yeah, this was a while back that I played this. All right, Blasphemous. Blasphemous is like one of the coolest looking games of all time. Blasphemous is like it's got like almost like an MS Paint animation style. Is this for the DL? I think this is the DLC. Whoa, it's noise. yeah, it's got this really cool cutscene animations, and then the whole game, it almost gives me like an if CDI was good kind of vibe, you know? Like in both the in-game animations, like the CDI Zelda games, and like the kind of cutscene animations. I'm gonna try and see if there's wow, it keeps turning the sound on. Yeah. But this game just looks cool. It's I guess I should say what it is. It's a Metroidvania game. Very kind of Castlevania-esque. The bosses are fun. The art is really cool. I think the story is interesting. It's got this kind of weird Catholicism, if you couldn't tell already, vibe going on. It's this very sort of I think particularly like Spanish Catholicism, right? Where it's this very sort of bizarre, like this kind of thing, with the baby ripping him apart. It's the sort of weird, gory side of Catholicism, which I think is kind of cool. And I don't know how much is a direct reference or how much is its kind of own world thing, because I'm not, you know, too aware of Catholicism, right, as a religion. I don't have much knowledge of it. But yeah, this is a cool game. I really like this game. So yeah, I think cool bosses. The baby boss I remember being a particularly cool one, and just like very very gory and interesting. Would I put this in loved? If I put it in loved, I'd say it's at the bottom. I'd say I couldn't quite put this in loved. I'd say this is another liked, which, as I say, most of them are going to be in liked. Like, yeah, I can fault it definitely in that its mechanics are not quite as tight as some of the other stuff on this list. Which, thinking of... oh no, it's here. Okay. I was gonna say, like, Hollow Knight is missing from this list, but it's not. There's gonna be some stuff missing from this list that I'll, like, eventually think about. I might update this at a later date. So, next game on this list is Braid, right? Braid is by... Okay, Braid is a weird game for me, because I think that the puzzles in Braid are very cool. I think the like puzzle platformer mechanics in this game are very, very well done. I think the story of this game is the most up itself thing I've ever seen. Again, it's like a very early indie game, right? But I think, like, maybe you should add like a spoiler. Soldier Boy, dude, the video of Soldier Boy playing this game is so funny, and that definitely bumps it up a bit. Yeah, I'm gonna add some text for a spoiler warning for a game from 2009, right? We're gonna call it, sure, whatever. We're gonna say it's spoiler warning, in case anyone cares about this game. But I want to talk about this because it's so insane. So I'm gonna make that a bit smaller. So okay, the critics love it. There's a lot of like reading, but the whole thing is it's kind of about chasing a princess, you know, as kind of a goal that's unattainable, and it's not necessarily a healthy thing. Gnome. And then, like, okay, whatever, that's okay. I don't care too much about that. Oh, spoiler warning's over here now. I don't even know what this is that I'm moving. Go away. Alright, spoiler warning's here. But then, like, if you do everything in this game, if you go through the whole thing, the game's story is about the creation of the atomic bomb and how the princess is like the atomic bomb. It is these things that these people were chasing, and they didn't even think about the consequences, and it's so up itself. There ain't even no point to the game. True. It's so up itself. I hate the story of this game. So also the guy I think was so like came across as very pretentious in that movie or whatever, but I've never actually seen it. But yeah, the video of Soldier Boy playing this like bumps it up, so it's like here. It's like it's like above Bastion for some reason, which is probably a better game. But there we go. Hey, Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons. Authors. A Tale of Two Sons. Ale. I can't type, so that's gonna be useful for this. Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons is, I think actually it's this is a really cool game. This might be in loved. I played this a long time ago, like around the time it came out. Again, frame rate's great on these videos. This game has like an somewhat interesting story. I think like it's pretty simplistic but cool. And I think that the mechanics of this game are really cool, and some of the visual stuff is really cool. Like there's kind of set pieces in some of it, like there's like the snowy area where they've got the aurora going on, which is really cool. And I think something that's really interesting about this is like a co-op game that you play as one person. So like each brother is like a different stick that you use, and it works surprisingly well. Like I've played this twice. The first time I played this, I played it on keyboard and mouse, and it was like it was not great. And then I played it on controller, and it was really, really good. So control scheme definitely matters for this game, but I think it just has like cool environments. Crude humor. That's a really funny thing to have as a warning in this. I'm gonna put this in like the loved tier, but I think it's near the bottom. I think it's about similar to ABZÜ. I think ABZÜ's like the benchmark for like the top of this tier, and I think it's like a little bit. It's hard to fault this game in any way, is my kind of reasoning for putting it in here. Like I did really enjoy it at the time. It was a while ago. But I think I'd still enjoy it today, and it's kind of hard to fault. So I think this game goes up here. Okay, Hyperlight Drifter. Hyperlight Drifter has like one of the best trailers for a game for all time. So I'm just gonna like play the trailer with the music because it's cool. Hyperlight Drifter's trailer is wonderful. I feel like this is early for an H, but there we go. I feel like they're supposed to be in alphabetical order, and we haven't gotten to like D yet, but whatever. Yeah, I really like this trailer. I really like this game. The visuals, like, I mean, look at any of this, are really cool. The mechanics are, you know, really just well done. Like, you've got your dash, you've got your sword attack, you've got your little guns. All of it feels very well done. I think this is like definitely a love and towards the top. I don't think it's quite a masterpiece because I've played other games like this, right? Like it's not like a new formula. It's not something that I'm like, I'm just about this crazily all the time. But I think that everything about this game is very, very good. And it just looks cool. I like pixel art games. I like the pixel art in this. It's kind of got good stuff, like interesting to fight bosses, just interesting world building. Yeah, there's nothing bad about this game. There really isn't. Now this game, wow, this is kind of stacked now, right, in order, because I would say I feel similarly about... Oh, there's no trailer for Cave Story. That can't be right. There's no trailer for Cave Story? Alright, we gotta do something about that, because, like, Cave Story trailer, right? Like, we gotta watch this, because Cave Story is like... Yeah, Cave Story might be a masterpiece. Cave Story is just like almost everything that you can say about Hyper Light Drifter. Like, Cave Story just does insanely well. It's not... I don't even know how to describe this. Like, this game has insanely good mechanics for a platformer. Like, it feels really, really good. It's got, like, the weapon leveling system, which I think is really interesting. The world is cool. The music's insane. It was made by a single guy who made the engine for it and the music. It's, like, the first indie game that was ever really made. Well, like, one of the first, right? It's, like, got... Yeah... This might be, like, a masterpiece. Like, the guy who made this is just a genius, and, like, I don't even remember this part. But I guess this is, like, the wall part? Anyway, like, yeah, this game is just brilliant. This is, like, the hell section's really cool. Yeah, I don't really have much to say. I feel like, if you haven't heard of... This game's from, like, 2004 or something. Like, obviously this is the launch trailer for Cave Story Plus, which is the version on Steam, but this game is... The original game came out for free, which is also insane, in, like, yeah, 2004. This game's crazy. This game is... Yeah, I think this might have to be considered a masterpiece. Like, we'll leave that till later, but... It's up there, right? It's like... Do I personally really kind of vibe with it in the same way that I vibe with other games? Maybe not. But, like, is it a better game than Hyper Light Drifter? For me, I would say so. It's like right on the cusp here, right? I'm gonna put it here for now. I'm gonna put it here because there's some games that I'm like... definitely are masterpieces. This is Darkest Dungeon, Kest Dung. This game is too hard for me, man. Like, I'm an idiot, and I don't know how to play this game. Not with noise on. Is this the new trailer for the... This is, I think, the new trailer. This is probably the original. Dude, turn the volume off. Like, go away. Game looks cool. Game has cool mechanics. Game is well made. I have played a fair bit of this, and I just can't do it. Like, I just always lose. I'm sure there's some strategies that you're supposed to engage with in, like, a roguelike, but I don't know. This I always just kind of didn't enjoy too much. So I'm gonna put this in did not care for. It's like a good did not care for, but it's just not for me. Like, I don't think it's a bad game. It's just really not for me, I think. It's kind of similar to something like Bastion, but I think Bastion might be a bit more for me, and I just haven't given it the chance, whereas this is like, Darksiders. This game was alright. This game... Kest Dung. Yeah, Kest Dung. gore. Oh no. Does this not also? It's surprising how few games on Steam have a trailer. I mean, this is kind of a. I mean, it's basically something like Devil May Cry. Is how I think of it. It's maybe a bit less cheesy than that. It's kind of Zelda-ish as well in some ways. There's some things about it that are a little bit like a 3D Zelda game. That you kind of find items in different areas that then kind of power you up. It's whatever. Like, it's not my sort of game. I think it's like a very solidly meh game for me. But like, if you're into Devil May Cry or like the earlier God of Wars, I guess would be similar to this. You know, again, it's very positive on Steam. I think you would like this. It's just not the sort of game that I'm into. So I played it. I didn't think it was bad. I enjoyed playing it, but you know, it's nothing special. I think it's below Bastion. Okay, Dark Souls. Everyone knows what Dark Souls is. But I'll talk about it a bit anyway. I think really there's no trailer for Dark Souls. That's insane. I mean, I don't really need to talk about Dark Souls. I think everyone knows what Dark Souls is. I think Dark Souls is really, really good as a game. I think Dark Souls is probably the best game. Cave Story's up there too, but what game is this? Yeah. What game could this possibly be? I'd probably put this in Masterpiece. Yeah, right. If you have a Steam account, you know what these games are. I think this is a masterpiece. I think this game is really interesting because I didn't play the remastered version. I played Prepare to Die, but they're basically the same thing. Like, I think this game is so fucking bizarre, which is what makes it kind of cool. Like, the mechanics were invented by an alien in this one, right? Like, I think I've not played 3, but from what I understand, 3 is like a bit more like standard, but this is like the game that made this type of game popular. It's got like a whole lore thing that people can get into. I'm not that into that, but I know a bit about it. The mechanics are really fun. This game is the game, I would say, that the boss fights, in terms of games with boss fights, this game has the best boss fights of any game I've played. Like, they're really cool. They're really, really fun. The environments are cool. One of the things that I think about this game that's so like insane is how the map links up and like the whole map feels like a real place. There's almost no other games that do that like anywhere near as well as this game. This game does it exceptionally well. There's that dark area, I think it's Tomb of the Giants, and they're sort of near the bottom of the map, and then below that, sort of from there, you can see the demon area, and you're like, oh, that's where that is in relation to this place, and all the little shortcuts and things. I think the world in this game is really cool. I think it still looks cool. Like, the graphics are maybe a little bit dated now, but I think it still looks great. Yeah, I just think that this game... also, the DLC of this game, actually, the Artorias DLC is, like, one of the best things I've played in a game ever. Just really, really good. I think, yeah, I really like Dark Souls. It's kind of done to death. Everyone knows what it is. I really like it. It's a masterpiece. It goes up here. Okay, Dark Souls 2. This is like the most divergent series of all time. So, Scholar of the First Sin. Okay, Dark Souls 2, Scholar of the First Sin. Like, it's kind of unfair to put it down here, but, like, this game is dog shit. Like, compared to the first one, this is, like, such a disappointment. Especially in terms of, like, that whole map thing that I was talking about. This game doesn't really think about that at all. Like, I know a lot of people actually like this game the most, but this game is... This game is just not great. I think I've heard a little bit about this, that, like, Scholar of the First Sin, like, you know, maybe it makes it a little bit worse in some areas, because they just spam a load of enemies in some places, but, like, man, it's just very incoherent. It doesn't feel like a coherent thing like the first Dark Souls. Yeah, okay, like, a lot of people like Dark Souls 2, but, like, especially in this, especially in Scholar of the First Sin, how can you defend the horse area? Like, the snow horse area, have you ever played that? It's just, like... That shit is awful. It's like they took the part of this game where they were like, oh, but the game's like really hard. People like it being really hard. And then they kind of like ignored everything else that I think made the games good. Again, people really like this game, but man, and like I think the story in this game, I didn't really like care about the story when I played this one. Because I didn't find the world as interesting. But like I know that a lot of people really like the Aldia guy, right? Like the guy who's the tree branch guy who is the scholar of the first sin or whatever. I think that's considered to be like very cool. If you actually like read into it. I think this area, okay, one good thing I'll say about this game, I think the like Majula hub area is a cool area. I think that looks like it's interesting, but I definitely just don't enjoy this anywhere near as much, and I'm probably rating it unfairly, right? But like there's like an expectation going into this that you're gonna get this, or like something that iterates on this, and I much prefer this kind of formula to this kind of formula. I've not played Dark Souls 3. I've heard it's more like the first one. I might enjoy it. A lot of people say that that's their favorite one, but these are like the only two games in that series that I've played. So, yes. Okay. Another controversial one. I found a trailer for this. It's on Nintendo Switch. Which is going to be kind of funny. But, okay, so I like Undertale. I think it's kind of funny. It's kind of well made. I played this hoping that maybe it would do something a bit different, or, you know, it would be kind of at the same level or have the things in it that I enjoyed about that game. I didn't necessarily want more of the same, and apparently it's a spoiler-free trailer with dogs. Okay, yeah, comedy. I think that this game definitely didn't capture me as much, and it kind of has the similar syndrome of like I kind of was expecting something else, and maybe at the time I didn't enjoy it that much. I didn't really like this game when I played it. I thought it was kind of meh, right? But then the second one came out, right? And I kind of saw, okay, I need to turn this off. Okay. Again, it's just dogs in the trailer. The second one came out, and like I have like a different perspective on the game from the second one. I thought the second one was really well done, and I think it kind of shows where they're going with it, and like, yeah, I think it kind of made me remember what I enjoyed about like the original Undertale. So I would place this one even in like loved. I think that this one was like a really fun playthrough. I played through this like a few months back, and yeah, I thought I'm now like, after the first one I was kind of like whatever. After the second one I was kind of like, I'm really looking forward to like where they go with this. So I'd probably put this like above this game. I can't really fault this in any way either, right? Like I'd probably put it up here. I thought that the writing was good. I really like the Queen character in this. I thought she was funny. I know a lot of people are like obsessed with that like Spamton character, but I don't know. I thought the Queen character was really funny. Alright. Deus Ex. I bet this doesn't have a trailer either, actually, because it's an old game. Get Deus Ex Game of the Year edition. Yeah. I think most people know what Deus Ex is. I think the mechanics is like an, you know, old school, kind of like a stealth / shooter game. It's kind of conspiracy theory-ish. I played it right at the beginning of the pandemic, which was a very good time to play it because there's a pandemic in this game. And then there's a thing about it all being a conspiracy, which is really funny given kind of how people reacted to it. The actual pandemic, that is. Yeah, how do I feel about this game? It's definitely like a solid liked. I found it a little bit disappointing because I thought that like where the game was going was very interesting. I found the endings, and I've been told that like the ending was like, yeah, I think the Machina is from the later Deus Ex games, which I haven't played. Yeah, it's one of the sequels. I think it's not Mankind Divided, which is supposed to be not very good. It's from like, if I look up Deus Ex, right, it's Human Revolution. That was the one that was really well received. But this one is like a lot of people's like best game of all time. I don't feel that way. I found the endings kind of a little bit cheesy. And I think it had been hyped up a lot to me, to the point where I was like, oh, this game's going to be like an all-time classic. It's great. And I definitely just had a good time playing through this. I played through this on stream, yeah, early 2020. It's a good game. I think I'd place it around the same level as something like ABZÜ. I think, like, it's definitely a very different feeling, but I think that's sort of where I'm at with, like, the level of fun that I had with it. They're very different games. This one, I think, has really cool mechanics and like an interesting story. It's not a genre that I'm super about, kind of stealth games. I've not played many of them. Like, I've not played the Thief games, which I've seen people playing the Thief games. I remember we went to visit a family in Sweden when I was a kid, and he was playing the Thief games, and I thought they looked really cool at that age, right? But I was about 12, so... But yeah, this game is cool, and like the mechanics are fun. You have like one of the things that are really fun with it is you have the like modifications to yourself. That you know what? Because Brad hasn't seen this, I want to see if there's a Deus Ex trailer. There's Human Revolution, but like, don't think the original one. Yeah, it has a trailer, so I can't like find something to do with this. But yeah, this game's just solid. It's definitely worth playing. I think if you even just like kind of FPS games, like older FPS games, it's definitely a game that I feel like people should play, because it's very influential and very inspirational. But I wouldn't say I loved it. I would say that I liked it about like as much as this. Because ABZÜ, I was like on the cusp of saying I loved it, right? Okay, this is Pride's favorite game. I've played like very little of this game. I think it's a good game, but I'm not like super about it. Like, we'll look at... I think... Okay. With an A on the end. No. Devil Daggers. So, I think, this is just like kind of like a survive the horde game for a certain number of seconds. Pride is insane at this game, if he's still in chat. Like... one of like the best players in the world at this, probably. Let's see. This game is like, it's cool. It's like a Quake game. Yeah, I think... where do I put this? I really enjoy like the mechanics of this game. I just can't do the same thing over and over again like you do in this game. It's just the kind of format is not my favorite. I don't kind of view it like a lot of the other games, because there's not really a progression, right? I mean, there is a progression, like kind of the whole thing is that there's a progression, but it's not, it's like it just is what it is, right? In theory, right, if you were perfect at it, you survive like to the longest of anyone, and you do it in one try, which no one does. But it's a very different. It's all kind of about mechanics and skill. There's not really like a world to it. This game has the best sound design of any game, though. Like the noise that the creatures make. It's so good. It's so good. Yeah, I'm gonna put this at like the bottom of liked, because I definitely like this game. Yeah. Think that's where we are at. Hey, we've got like almost a perfect like Gaussian distribution going on here. This is great. Dicey Dungeons. This game has really interesting mechanics. This is a roguelike. And I remember really enjoying it around the time it came out, and then just kind of seeing that all of the content was there. Yeah, it's basically you're either not really into it, but like it, or are really, really into it. I think that's fair, yeah. This game's like... it's a roguelike. It's got these dice rolling mechanics. The mechanics are really cool. The art's really cool. It's just not that replayable, which I think is kind of a death sentence for a roguelike, right? Like it's sort of like this character I remember being crazy because you get a load of dice to do, and like there's a lot of like stacking mechanics and things kind of popping off to sort of a crazy degree, which I really like in roguelikes. But yeah, there's just not that much of it. Like, make more of this game. This is by the VVVVVV guy as well. This is Terry Covenor, who made Super Hexagon, VVVV, and this. That's what he looks like. Yeah, this, like, man. This game, I feel like it could have been a lot more than it is. So, that's, like, a shame. Because I thought that the mechanics are really more. So more of this, please. Like, I think I have to put this in liked, but I think I'd put it below Devil Daggers. It's like near the bottom of liked. Okay, Dishonored. This one's gonna get me in trouble because like I played this on stream and I can't spell. I played this on stream. There's no trailer for Dishonored. All these old games, man, they just don't. They never put a trailer on the store page. This is another stealth game, like Deus Ex. I kind of say stealth game. You like do missions, and like if you're undetected, it's got more of a focus on stealth than Deus Ex. It's kind of like steampunky. I wasn't that about this game. It's alright. Like, it's okay. It's not a bad game. The story I kind of found to be like a little bit predictable. There was this thing going on. Okay, I'm gonna look up Dishonored trailer, right? Because it's gotta have a trailer. Gameplay trailer, please. Because it gives people an idea of what it is. Dishonored. Yeah, it's basically like, you know, supposed to be like Victorian London or something. I think is what this is based off of. People like this type of thing. I think I might have been very about this game, like when it came out. If I'd played it when it came out, if I'd had like a computer that could do that. I think this kid like really creeped me out as well. But yeah, this game, it's very much based on like the Thief games. I would say like Deus Ex is really its own thing. This game is very much a stealth game. It's got like Half-Life 2 Striders in it, which is kind of kind of interesting. It's another game with a plague in it, I think. Yeah, where'd I rate this? This is a difficult one. I played this kind of more recently, like in the last year or so. Yeah, about this time last year. I thought there was like this supernatural element with this guy who kind of comes to you in visions and stuff, and I thought the game would do more with that, and maybe I just didn't play it enough, but I felt like it didn't really. I don't know. Again, everything I'm saying makes me this bridge area. I like the bridge area a lot. Actually, that was one of my favorite levels, and the mansion at the end. Yeah, I put this in like meh. It was like okay. Was it better than these games? Yeah, probably. It's like top meh. Dungeons of Dredmor. I haven't played this game in so long. It's like an actual roguelike. I remember having a lot of fun. I definitely. Oh, it's without any E, apparently. Dredmor. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, you literally, it's like tile-based, and you fight stuff, and it's very simplistic looking. Actually, this game is like extremely complex, and it's got all these different skills in it that do like funny stuff. I found like that degree of customization very good. I felt like, yeah, I had a good time with this game. I would put this kind of at the same level as something like Devil Daggers, where it's like kind of near the bottom of liked. Where am I putting Dicey Dungeons? Did I put this? I think I put this below. I think Dicey Dungeons is more like a short hike. Yeah, I would put this like, yeah, probably at the bottom of liked. It's like I like it more or less than Dishonored. It's similar. It's similar to these games where like, you know, I think it is a good game, and I did have like a good time with it, and I think it's got like a lot of potential to be very interesting in terms of its mechanics. Um, yeah. Hmm. Where are we going with this? Okay, Dusk. I'm just gonna stop talking about this game. It's not. Yeah, it's not one that I'd like super recommend to most people. I feel like, you know, it's like if you like games with like lots of yeah, Dusk. Um, okay, Dusk. This has a trailer, so I'm like not stun locked by the fact that it just doesn't have a trailer on Steam, which I thought every game did. This game is like an old school like Quake style game. It's really well made. It's really fun. All the level designs are cool. Um, I enjoy it. I enjoyed it like a whole lot. It's got kind of a HP Lovecraft type thing going on. There's some stuff with gravity, as you can see. The area with the sort of church village type thing. There's some really cool maps in this game. Also, it has a multiplayer mode. I didn't realize it had a multiplayer mode, but it's like, yeah, I played it in Discord with some people. I think that was the level just there. I really enjoyed. You can get right to the top of it, high up, and it's kind of like, but yeah, this game was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun. I'd say I had about the same amount of fun as something like Deus Ex streaming this. And to be fair, like these games, this game and Deus Ex, these are like strong likes. They're not like loved from me, but they're probably like some of the best games to stream that I've done. Like these streams were like some of the most fun I've had like streaming a game, if that makes sense. Like, I think this is very enjoyable to stream. So, like, would I say this game is better or worse than Deus Ex? By the streaming experience, I'd say that this game is, like, maybe a little bit worse. By the gameplay experience, yeah, maybe also a little bit worse. Was it worse than Blasphemous? Or better? Do I prefer Blasphemous to this game? I feel like this is rated a little bit low. But these are all around the same tier, right? I would definitely say, like, this was probably slightly above for me. These were all slightly below and kind of together, and then these two, and maybe this kind of all. Yeah, I'm kind of happy with this ordering. Okay, Fate of the World. Fate of the World is like a Civ type game that I played because, yeah, you can like barely find it, right? Fate of the World. It's like a Civ type game. You have to do like diplomacy in it. It's really not like anything that I would. I think maybe it's about like, you know, yeah, maybe it's about climate change and like I think, yeah, I remember this. You have to like negotiate like various things, and it's like this weird like, well, are you gonna like feed everyone, or are you gonna give everyone like free healthcare, or are you gonna do quantitative easing? What policies will work? So, you know, it's kind of, I don't know. You know, I played the reason this is on here is I played this to get an achievement, I think, for like a Steam sale when they had like some achievements that they wanted you to get that were you know, whatever. I think I put this at the bottom. Like I just I don't really know anything about this game. I just played it for like a little while, and it was yeah, not my kind of game at all, right? Like, I think if you're interested in doing climate policy, or like teaching people about climate policy, maybe. But I don't even know, like, I can't even remember if it was like accurate. It seems to present these very kind of like false dilemmas of like, well, you can only spend the money on one thing, and it, you know, I'm not even sure, like, that's really not how it works. It's like, oh, you don't have, like, a big button of, like, government spending money where you're like, solve world hunger or end climate change, you know? Like, although I think people seem to think it's that way sometimes. So, yeah, this is kind of what that game is, and I'm like, you know. I think it's a bit more, like, nuanced than that, from what I remember, but, like, it kind of boils down to that a little bit, so... Yeah, this game is whatever. I'm going to be right back for a second, sorry. Alright, I am right back. Into the Gungeon. Whew. This is okay. Let's have a look at it. This game, I don't know how to rate this, right? Because I think this is one of the roguelikes I've enjoyed the most. In terms of its mechanics, it's really hard. And at like a base gameplay level, I think I like this more than The Binding of Isaac. I think like the average run in this, over like all versions of The Binding of Isaac, which I've kind of lumped together, maybe unfairly because they are of varying like strength, right? Like the most recent one is very, very good. I doubt there's as much content in this as Isaac, and I don't know if there's enough staying power, but I would put this at like at least equivalent to Isaac because I've not played this as much. It's hard, and also it's a game where you have to tap the button. And at the time I was playing this, my finger was having like RSI type problems with my finger, and repeatedly tapping the mouse button was not a good idea. But I think like the base gameplay, like in general, is kind of a bit more satisfying than Isaac, and I would like to play more of this game. Yeah. Isaac has a lot more content. Thanks, Donovan. Thanks from Twitch Booster account, yeah. I'd put this in, like, I don't know if I can put any of these, like, roguelikes in, like, loved, because it's not a genre that... Yeah, I might put this a bit below Isaac. There's definitely less content. I'd put this near the top of liked. I really enjoyed the time that I played this. I'd put it about here. Maybe here. Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely like a different feel to Isaac. It doesn't have broken runs. It's not got this like crazy scaling thing. I think I'd really enjoy Nuclear Throne as well, had I ever played it, because that's got similar mechanics to this. Yeah, I don't know if I put this in loved or not. I think I have to put this here and Isaac in love, just because I've played so much Isaac. Yeah, Nuclear Throne's very good. Top 10 for you? That's crazy. Alright. I'm going to swap these around, because this is episode 1 and this is episode 2 of Half-Life 2. Yeah, I played these like again, like about 6 years back. No, about 5 years back, about 5 years ago, 2017. These games are interesting, right? So I didn't play the original Half-Life 2 over again, because that's a lot, but I played these two. Yeah. This game is... Okay. So I have thoughts about these. Right? This I don't think that this is a controversial opinion, but it might be controversial to like put this down here. Everyone knows what these games are, but you know, let's bring up the thing for the trailer. It's in black and white. Interesting. Oh no, it's not. Just the thumbnail is in black and white. Okay, so this Half-Life, I remember seeing this. I remember having these teasers like on the orange box on like PlayStation when I first played this game. And I thought like Alex was like the main character playing it, but you still play as Gordon for like most of it, I feel like, so. Yeah, this trailer's kind of... Anyway, I think this is like very mediocre. I think the section at the very beginning where you're in the Citadel is cool in this game, and I think the section in... Yeah, right? In the very end is like kind of cool, where you're kind of... I guess I should put the spoiler warning up, where you're in the train, and like you're going away from the city, right? Like I think that is cool. I think that is like a really, really I think that like that kind of it's like cinematic at the end and kind of part of the end is really good. I don't think that this game but like this whole center of the game is just you going around like car parks killing zombies. Like you're just in like a multi-level car park killing zombies, and that's like the whole game. Except for like that very start part and that very end part, and that just really kills it for me. It's like not it's just like one of the forgettable parts of Half-Life 2 that they kind of shoved in the middle of it, in between two parts that are like reasonably good. So yeah, I'm not that big of a fan. Half-Life 2 Episode 2. Again, is it going to have these funny trailers? Oh, it doesn't even have any trailer. Okay. Is the one where you're outdoors and you have the car and you're like driving around. This game might be like my favorite Half-Life game. This is really good. It's funny. Episode 1 is just kind of very mediocre. Episode 2 is really good. Oh yeah, good point. Episode 2 is really good. Thanks for letting me know that the spoiler thing's still up. So, I'm not going to spoil it, but the ending for this game is great. Like, it's such a shame that they didn't really continue the series. Maybe they did in Alex. Maybe Alex is like... I think Alex is a prequel, but I don't know because I haven't looked at it. I haven't spoiled myself. I don't have any VR to play it, so... you know... But, yeah, I think that this game is like... I like it maybe even more than base Half-Life 2. I really think that this is great. There's like lots of interesting stuff going on. The sort of caverns stuff that you go to is really cool. The grub caverns, and like, yeah, I just think overall this game is very, very good. And you have the car, and like it's definitely the car section is definitely like the best Half-Life vehicle section, in my opinion. Like this car section where you're kind of out in the countryside and you're like away from the big explosion. It's good. Like it works well. There's not so much like zombies in a parking lot. Like there's a little bit of it, classic Half-Life style. But like this section was really cool. Yeah, I'd say that overall this game is fun. Yeah. Fez is like a game again that a lot of people like, and I would say I even didn't care for it. Which might surprise you because it's like a pixel arty game, it's like a puzzle platformer, it's kind of my type of thing. I think the thing with this game is I'd spoiled myself too much. I knew a fair bit about it, and I kind of just didn't feel it when I was playing it. I just wasn't very into it. Like, it was okay. I think it's like a good game. Maybe it's like down here, right? Maybe it's kind of with Bastion, where like I think it's a good game, but like I just wasn't about it. I don't know if it's like I didn't care for it. It had some like I think some people think that this game is crazy, like the way that they did stuff, but like playing it, when did it come out? Fez. I mean, it looks really cool. I'll say that. When did Fez come out? It's 2013. Playing it in 2013 might have been like a very sort of, I don't know, eye-opening experience. Playing it in 2019, which I think I did, or 2020 even. It was just kind of, yeah, it was a game, Like, there's a lot of games like this, and I don't know if it was the first to do this, so it should get some credit for that, but I don't know if it, to me, holds up. I think this, rotation mechanic is kind of cool, but to be honest with you, I also found it, somewhat annoying. And there's, a lot of games that do the kind of, part 2D, part 3D thing. This is a good way of doing it. I think I can't really fault this game. It just wasn't... Yeah, it's a similar thing to, Meat Boy and BIT.TRIP.RUNNER. It's just a very early... I mean, this one's a bit of a later era, right? But it's just a very early game where I'm kind of I'm not super about it anymore. Having played it. This is Gonner, which is hard to pass. This is another roguelike. I've played, a little bit of this. I thought this game was cool. It looks cool. It didn't hold me that much. So like it's kind of a side scroller. I don't even know if it's necessarily a roguelike, right? I mean, yeah, I don't know how procedural it is because I feel like the levels are pretty repeatable, which means maybe no, there definitely is some variation, but they're pretty similar, and I think that was part of why I wasn't a huge fan of it. Was like most of the runs were the same. Oh, it has the big whale guy who's kind of cool. The music's cool. The art in this is cool. I enjoyed it. I need to spend more time with it, I think, but at the moment I find it very kind of meh. I never actually completed it though, so like maybe I'll complete it. And like that guy's got a laser gun and like lightning and shit, so I never saw any of that. So there might be like a lot more to this game, but it felt like a lot of the runs were quite similar. It's definitely not like I feel like this could be a game that some people would really really like as well, right? Like it's if you're into roguelikes, I think it's worth checking this out. But I found it's definitely not like top of its I put it like here. I think that seems about right. It's like okay. Okay, Grim Fandango. Why is Hyperlight Drifter in here twice? That's really weird. Maybe I saved Hyperlight Drifter over the name of something else. I think I might be missing a game here. I think I might be like missing a game, and that's why I've got 2 Hyperlight Drifters in here. Because I might have like saved the image over another image file. And it would have been like a game that starts with like a C. Give me a second. I want to check like what game this is. Do I have Undertale? I definitely have Undertale. I think it was like a game near the start of the alphabet. So if I were to guess, I would say it's like I don't know. I have to look. The way that I did this is I just went through my like played Steam games. So if I look at all my recently, or just like all of my Steam games, and look at like what it could be. It was like around the D's. Darkest Dungeon, we did. Dusk, we did. Dicey Dungeons. Defcon is kind of a multiplayer game, I think. Dungeon Defenders is kind of like a multiplayer game. It's clearly not that memorable, if I can't remember. It could have been a game beginning with C as well. Like yeah, now I'm below 1 hour, so it wouldn't be down here. Must be something that I've played a fair amount of. I cannot say. Oh, it might have been even like an A. Start a game starting with A. Yeah, I can't think. Like maybe I just saved it in there twice somehow, and one of them I saved it in with like a, I don't know, like a different name. Somehow. So I don't know what's going on there, but it's, you know, it's in here twice, so ignore it. Grim Fandango. Grim Fandango is a game that I really enjoy. I don't think I streamed this. I don't have a memory that maybe I did stream it. Yeah, this game, the Double Fine game. It kind of is cool. I like the story of it. I think it's kind of like a I guess what are they called, like Dia de los Muertos? I think it's kind of based maybe partially off of that. Oh yeah, I forgot about that guy. And like it's okay, they did a live orchestral soundtrack, and it's kind of like film noir-ish, which I think is very cool too. Yeah, like the kind of jazz. Going on here, and he's like in this office. Yeah, I like this. This is like a point-and-click adventure game. Some of the things, like with many point-and-click adventure games I play, are quite... I had to like look things up. But this game is cool. I think, like, if you like point-and-click adventure games, this is definitely a game to play. Like, this is just, like, a hugely, like, good game in terms of its story. I'm not huge on point-and-click adventure games, but I definitely put this, like, up near this region, right? I don't think this goes here. I think this goes with these guys as well. Now that I'm thinking about it, I just haven't played enough of this to, like, justify this. I maybe even put it down here. Feel better about that. Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of in this tier. But anyway, Grim Fandango. Good game, play it. Like, it's near the top of the liked tier. It's good. Hyperlight Drifter, we've already talked about. Hollow Knight. Ooh. So, I have a grievance with this game. Because this game is excellent. Like, this game, like, realistically, it's a masterpiece. Right? And, like, so is this game, realistically. And these guys, I may be convinced to move these up to there, right? Like, they're very good. I'm going to put this down here. And the reason that this doesn't make it to Masterpiece tier is, like, very unfair towards the developers. The reason that this doesn't make it to Masterpiece tier, because it really should. Like, the mechanics are great. I mean, if you don't know what Hollow Knight is, it's, like, one of the most famous indie games. But, you know, we'll talk about it. It's got, you know, very beautiful art. It's this enormous Metroidvania game, right? It's huge, really well made, just like small team of people, genius, really interesting kind of lore and story, kind of similar to something like Dark Souls, but a bit more explicit than that game, the way that you get it. Like really well made boss fights, really well curated. And the problem that I have with this game that stops it being a masterpiece is that there's too much of it. There's actually too much. Like, I don't have original Half-Life 2, but yeah. So, like, whereas this is, like, a very, very good self-contained, like, game, which is really, really solid mechanics, this is a really, really good self-contained game with, like, 10 times the content. And then they added the DLCs and it went up to, like, 20 times the content. And I think, like, this is a very unpopular opinion, but, like, they added this Boss Rush DLC, and at that point, I'm just kind of like, I've had enough of this game. I've played enough, like, they could make a new game. And that's, like, such a harsh judgment to make on something, right? But it's kind of like they just didn't know when to stop, almost, I felt like, with this game. It was, like, too much, right? Like, just too much stuff. I really like this game. I really think this game is great, but I don't know if it makes it. I'm being really harsh here, but I don't know if it makes it to Masterpiece tier. It's like very near the top. It's like these two are kind of interchangeable, right? These two are excellent games, and really, they probably both should. They might both end up in Masterpiece tier. Depends if I'm feeling generous or not, right? But like, yeah, this is. It's just not. It's not quite there. It's like almost a masterpiece. I'm going to put it ahead of Cave Story. It's almost a masterpiece. And I might be like more about like the ordering than the tiers at this point, right? But like this game is an excellent game. I don't think it quite makes it to here. I don't think it quite does it. If they'd left some of the game out, ironically, it might have been better in my eyes. Okay, Hylics. We're going through like good games now, like really good games, so it's hard to judge. This is one of my favorite RPG Maker games. It looks ridiculous, but the art is really cool. This Hylics, no, I moved them around. This is Hylics 1. This is Hylics 2. I swapped them around because I want to talk about Hylics 1 first, right? So, this is a great RPG Maker game. Yeah, I think it's really well done. It's bizarre. It's so strange, which is great. It really captures, like, I think I'm a huge fan of Earthbound, which is not on this list because I actually have started playing through it again, like in the last few days. But Earthbound's probably my favorite game of all time, and all these odd RPG Maker games are kind of influenced by it, and the surrealism, I mean, it's one of the first RPGs that was, you know, surreal, and now there's sort of a whole genre of this. This game kind of does it in a very fresh way, and I also think that the claymation is very cool. It's really good. I would say that I like this game a lot. I would place it up here in the sort of Grim Fandango. I'm going to put this up here. And I'm going to put this here, right? I put it up here in like the top of the liked tier. Now, Hylics 2, on the other hand, right? The second Hylics game, which is not in the suggested ones, but Hylics 2 is like just this but updated. I'm going to play this trailer with sound on because it's great. I think this is one of my favorite game trailers as well, along with Hyperlight Drifter. And like it's just the art is so good, and part of it is that they made this game in not in RPG Maker but in Unity, right? So they had like more freedom when they made this, and God, it looks good. It's got this kind of weird 3D but with claymation thing going on. Also, watch him go up the ladder here. This is a great animation. I love it a lot. This reminds me of like almost like Monty Python animations. It has kind of a similar vibe almost to something like that in terms of the way that the art's done, but that's like the inspiration that I can find the most. Also, the music is like so good. I love the first person. Hylics 3 is in the works. That's great news. I would play a third one. Although I kind of would almost like to see this guy do something else, right? Like almost not an RPG. I'd be really interested in just seeing this guy like apply this kind of art to a different kind of game, because he clearly has. Like, I think one of the cool things about this game that you'll see later in this trailer is this is good to know. I'll have a look at that tweet. Thanks, Braid. Oh yeah, cool. So yeah, so in this case, yeah, the other cool thing about this game, and I don't know if I kind of switched away from it and didn't see it, but there's like parts of this game which are not purely a like an RPG as well. There's sort of these odd sections. There's like platformer sections. I don't know if it's shown that already, but like there's different sections. There's like almost like a dungeon crawler section in this game. Also really like this logo. So I think it would be interesting for him to try other genres with this, is basically what I'm saying, because he kind of did it in the second Hylics, and I thought it was very fresh. It didn't just feel like a sequel. It felt like sort of a whole new thing, which was nice. And yeah, God, this game, yeah, see, there's little platform sections and stuff. I thought that this game, yeah, dungeon crawler sections, right? Kind of first person sections. Great game. Really good. And so where would I put this? I'd probably put it up maybe a bit below Hollow Knight and Cave Story. It's like around here. It's like in the sort of like almost a masterpiece tier, right? But like a bit below the like almost. Like I think even if I bump these two up, this one doesn't quite get bumped up. It's definitely near the top of the love tier. This, I'm just gonna chuck this to the bottom. Okay, Inscryption. Inscryption's an interesting game. I played this recently. It's part card game, part sort of like ARG, hidden object puzzle type thing. A lot of people are like sort of putting it down as their, does this have audio? Does that sound off? Their sort of best game of, or their best indie game of 2021. I think a lot of people have said that. I probably would have said Psychonauts 2, my best game, but this game's definitely like the cabin section at the start I really enjoyed. It's by the same guy who made Pony Island, which, do I have that on here? I do have Pony Island on here. I think it's better than Pony Island. Would I say I loved it? You know, it's hard, right? I would say it goes in the liked tier, and I would say it's near the top of the liked tier. I think I might like this one more than ABZÜ, right? I think that this game has really solid mechanics. I'm not super into card games. I think there's a couple more on here. There's Monster Train, there's Slay the Spire. Yeah, okay. You'll notice that there's not many Masterpiece games on here yet. We'll see how that changes. Maybe this will go up in there. I mean, there's some coming. There's definitely some coming for sure. Yeah. Yeah, I'm happy with that sort of placement. Yeah, this game's good. It's kind of ARG stuff going on in this, which is interesting. It's very fourth wall breaking, which is, you know, a lot of Daniel Mullins stuff is kind of doing that. I would like to see if I were like doing something with, you know, or like, you know, requesting Dan Mullins do something, I would ask him if he could make a game that was like a bit less overtly fourth wall breaking, like all the time, because, or kind of meta all the time, because I think that kind of stuff is more effective when you do it infrequently, right? Especially if you're doing it for kind of horror purposes. But I think that's his whole thing, right? So maybe, you know, it's not something that he would be into. And this game definitely like goes to different places. I think, yeah, I like it a lot. I don't think I quite put it in the same tier as these games, but it's up there. It's up there for sure. Okay, Inside. I played this on stream. I think a lot of people watched this. You ever played Limbo? Which this game is kind of based off of. This is kind of a side-scrollery type game, but it's man, that's a short trailer. It's not exactly a side-scroller because it's like puzzly, but it's not really platformery too much, to be honest with you. It's more like this kind of run and like dodge stuff, but not exactly in a platformer way, more in like a puzzle solving way. It's not like really tight mechanics or anything like that. It's kind of slow paced and very story driven, and the story's somewhat ambiguous, which I like. I thought the ending to this game was kind of funny and bizarre. And I like this game more than Limbo, which we'll talk about in a second. It's kind of stylized very similar. It's obviously, you know, it's the same devs and it's a similar game. It's like a fun game. I'd probably put it around the level of something like Inside or A Short Hike. You know, it's a short game that you can have a lot of fun with. I think that's where this goes, right? It's insane to me that there's like one game in here still. Maybe these should go up in here. I don't know. I'm being contrarian for the sake of it. Like if any two do, these two go up. All right, Journey. I was less enthused by than ABZÜ. I'd put it again same level as something like A Short Hike and Inside. Journey is a very famous game, and I think it won a lot of awards. It was like considered like the best game of all time by a lot of people. I think, yeah, right, like, you know, I think a lot of people, it's similar to ABZÜ. It's kind of a short, there's a little bit of puzzle solving. It's mostly just kind of walking around in this kind of beautiful landscape. It's got sort of a story that's associated with that. I enjoyed ABZÜ more than this game, and there's like the obvious comparison because I think kind of the story structure and like the art and everything are similar to that game, and the narrative. Yeah, I'd said the story structure. I found ABZÜ with all of the fish just to be a bit more beautiful and a bit more of like a tranquil experience. than this. And I think had I played this at the time, you know, but it was released very recently. One thing this game does do, I'm gonna put the spoiler warning up for this, because like this game has like a weird multiplayer thing going on. So it's not really a single player game where you can have like someone end up in your game kind of randomly. You like randomly will meet other people who are actual players in the game while you play it. But you know, playing it in 2020 is a different experience to playing it whenever it came out, not on PC. And so that wasn't like as oh my god, that's crazy type thing, because it's kind of been done in other games since. So yeah, I think this is a definite like around here. All right, now Limbo, not Dishonored gameplay trailer, Limbo. Limbo is the same thing as Inside, but it's like an earlier version of the game, and I found the story less interesting. In fact, I don't know, it was just kind of weird. It's more fantastical, I guess. There's these again, you can kind of see the gameplay more in this. Inside's gameplay is quite similar to this. I think this game was more refined. There's these sort of big spiders and like insects and stuff in this game, and it's all black and white, which is kind of cool. This was hailed as being like a great game at the time it came out. Again, it's an early indie game, like 2011. I'm not that enthused. I'd put that as like a meh kind of game. Like, yeah, maybe above these, maybe around these two. Like it's whatever. It's okay. I would, yeah, I'd put it somewhere around there. Let's see. Lisa the Painful RPG. Lisa the Painful. I have not played The Joyful, which is the sequel to this. This game, in terms of like humor and like sort of just in general like writing for RPG Maker games, is like up there with some of the top ones. I think this is really cool. I actually think the RPG mechanics in this game are very cool, because there's like 30 party members that you can have, so there's like a lot of replayability. I think the story's interesting, the world's interesting, the art is kind of Earthboundy, which is not inherently a bad thing, but because Earthbound definitely has like a sense of style to it. I really enjoyed this game. I think the writing's good. It's quite what's the word? Like, I mean, it's pretty brutal in a lot of ways. It's almost kind of like I don't know how to describe this. I'd almost describe this as like even like a little bit much sometimes for me. Like, it's kind of like almost like trauma porn or something, you know? Like it feels like sometimes, but I don't think it's really fair to say that. It also has a great bit in it. Again, spoiler warning, where there's like a massive cliff, and I think this is a running joke in these games. There's like a massive cliff that you can climb up, and at the top of the cliff, there's just a big middle finger, and it takes like 2 minutes to climb up it, and you can't jump down off the cliff. It's like the only place in the game where you can't jump back down to your death. You have to climb all the way back down. Like for another 2 minutes, and it's just like a big statue in the shape of a middle finger. Like, so that's really funny. I think that's like good. This game doesn't like its audience, and I always respect that a little bit. I love this game. I think it's really good. I think I would put it somewhere, I think like here in the loved tier. We can like sort this out more later, but yeah, this is good. Monster Train. Monster Train is another card game. Let's see. Monster Train is a really interesting card game. It's a game where you have these different floors where you put stuff on, and you're the like demons defending against the angels, and you're trying to get like this train into heaven or something. I forget. It's a deck building game, as they say. It's got these different floors, and you have to put like defenders, so it's almost like tower defense on each floor, but with cards. It's got a huge amount of like interacting mechanics, and the thing that I like about this game is it's kind of got this sort of multiplicative stacking and scaling things, where the runs can go completely insane. So it's kind of like, you know, you can have really broken runs a lot in this game, but in lots of different ways, which is, I think, very cool. Like, I think, you know, it's not like so common that it's boring, and they have like the different levels that help with that. But yeah, I think that this game is like really, really well made. I like it a lot. I don't think I love it. I would put it up with like the first Hylics somewhere. I really like the mechanics of this game. This is one of my favorite roguelike games. Really worth a try if you like just roguelikes at all, or like card games at all. I think this game is great. Actually, it's not hard. If you're like a Slay the Spire like hard card game type thing, I don't think this game is particularly hard. Like, you're gonna find it quite easy. But I'm not that smart in terms of these kinds of games, so I like this a lot. I like this game an awful lot because it's like the right level for me. After like a few upgrades. Okay. So this game I have been playing a lot of recently. So I might be biased. I might have like a recent gameplay bias. I think that this game is a masterpiece. I think that this is the best roguelike game that exists. There's so many interactions. It's so complex. You can have runs that pop off. The way that this is coded, these guys are geniuses. This is like so insane. It's really hard. I recently completed a run where I was getting a particular ending, which is like one of the harder endings to get in the game. Not the hardest thing to do in the game. However, yeah, it's... How do I put this? It was a 14-hour run. This game has an insane amount of content. I think it's not as much content per se as something like Binding of Isaac, but the customizability. So you see here that the wands have like modifiers to each of the spells that you can like chain, and it gets really, really complicated, and basically you can make completely different types of things, and there's basically sort of infinite variability. So just from a roguelike standpoint, it's a really good game because it's got a huge amount of customizability and the runs are really interesting. But there's so much more. Isaac is on the list. Yeah, Isaac is on the list here. Isaac is down here towards the end. It's under T, I guess, because it's the Binding of Isaac. Isaac, I like Isaac less than this. But to be honest with you, yeah, you can just see how like all the modifiers stack, and like you can create crazy ones like this. Turn into a duck and instantly die. But yeah, I think I prefer this game to Isaac because there's also like maybe hints of it here that there's a lot more outside of the main roguelike play area. Like the main roguelike loop is just a small part of this game. There's like a huge amount more. So I would put this game in masterpiece tier. I might put it, I don't know which side of this. I might put it below Dark Souls, but this game is excellent. This game is like the most fun I've ever had playing a roguelike. It's super complex, super interesting. Like the way that all the mechanics work are bizarre in a good way. Yeah. This is Off by Mortis Ghost, which is not gonna have. Let's see if I can find Mortis gameplay, because it's not on Steam. This is just an RPG Maker game that's available for download for free. there a trailer? I doubt there's even a trailer because it's a free game, right? So, yeah. It's like, oh no, I found it. Yeah, I had a trailer for it. Off-fan translation trailer. So this is, I guess, a 2008 game. I played this in about 2013 because I remember it was my first year of exams in university. This game is kind of a standard RPG Maker game. I really, as I say, I really like surrealist RPG Maker games. I think that this game, some of the puzzles in it are like kind of a little bit tiresome. It's kind of like a, oh yeah, I get it, you know? But like also you just have to go through the process of doing it, and it's just very simple number puzzles, and you just do a lot of it. I think the world and the story of this game are interesting. I also think that like the original translation, which may have been like a version 1.1 or whatever they said in 2012, because that was around the time 2012, so I guess I played 2.0. This game, I think, from what I understand, that the translation's a little bit off in places. Haha, called off. And that makes some of the stuff more hard to understand what was going on than it should be. Is there a theme to the tier list? It's games that I've played in the last 10 years. So it's just like, these are the rules. Let me scroll down. Played in the last 10 years, predominantly single player, played more than 1 hour, and it's on PC. Those are my criteria. This is like to give people basically recommendations. So, because I've played like a lot of indie games, and I often get recommendations, so I just want to like point people to this list, which is why I'm like watching through the trailers. This game's hard to place because I played it such a long time ago. I like it. I think it's probably about around here. In like near the top of like tier, probably about the same place as the original Hylics. We'll put it there. But actually, I think it's a bit worse than the original Hylics. Maybe. I don't know. These are kind of all interchangeable. Like the stuff around here. I think Blasphemous might be. I don't know, man. It's hard to rate. Like the top half of liked is very hard. So it's very stacked. Like this is just a good tier. It's hard to rate. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's reasonable. Okay. What's the next game? Ori and the Blind Forest. This is another game that I think I like less than a lot of people. I've not played The Will of the Wisps, the sequel. I mean, this game looks cool. I think a lot of people know about this game. It's a kind of a Metroidvania, as a big open world. I don't know if you'd really describe it as that. It's you do get different abilities. You get different abilities in different areas. You go to different areas and sort of, I don't know if you can go in a random order. I think it might be a bit more linear than that, which is why I'm kind of hesitant to say it's necessarily a Metroidvania. There might be some change in order that you could do. I can't remember. It's been a while since I played it. I think I played it in 2016, maybe 2017, sometime around then. I think that like this game, I think it is mechanically good, but I think I find the mechanics of this game a lot less interesting than other Metroidvanias I've played. So like when I compare it to the two Metroidvanias that are on here already, Hollow Knight, I definitely think it's not as good as Hollow Knight in terms of mechanics. I also don't think it was as enjoyable as Blasphemous in terms of its mechanics. I think I would place it in the light tier around sort of towards the bottom. So near something like Dicey Dungeons, these games that I had sort of like a short amount of enjoyment from. It's a game that I sort of picked up and played and enjoyed and then didn't really think about again afterwards. I've never like had like an urge to replay it or go back and look at it. It was just sort of an enjoyable experience. So I would put it around here. All right. Outer Wilds. What can I say? Outer Wilds is an insanely good game. It is the best space game I have ever played or seen or heard of. It's got an exceptional story. It's about xenoarchaeology. It's kind of a first-person space exploration game where you're kind of trying to learn about what has happened in the past through logs and stuff. The worlds are really well imagined. The sort of flying, the sort of little solar system that you fly around is really cool. The story is great. The music is great. Everything about this game is exceptional. It's like one of the best games I have ever played by far. Play this. Just anyone. I think anyone should play this. I don't think there's like a person that I can think of that this game is like really not for. Maybe if you really hate reading, this game is not for you. But like you're missing out. God, this game is just genius, and it was a student project. I think this is the best game on the list so far. How do I even describe this game? I feel like you should, like go into this game without knowing almost anything about it other than it's a space game. Like if you know almost nothing about it, that's better, really. Don't even watch the trailers, because actually I think the trailers have spoilers in them. So don't even watch those. Like I shouldn't even watch them. Like go into this completely blind, as blind as possible. I think this is a brilliant game. I don't know if I put this above or below. Pony Island. This is Dan Mullins' other game. Pony Island is like... It's a funny game. It's even more fourth wall breaking than Inscryption. It's kind of, you're in this cursed computer type thing. It's very much sort of you're on a computer and you're trying to sort of escape from it. There's IRC stuff like this. It's an interesting story. It's very meta. It's very fourth wall breaking. I think kind of a game that you have to play. It's almost similar to Braid. In that there's kind of like a deeper meaning that I wasn't hugely about in some ways, or like a deeper thing that I wasn't hugely about, but I don't think it's anywhere near as good as Inscryption. I would put it somewhere around the level of this, where it's just kind of a fun few hours if you want to play it. It's good to stream, it's good to watch. Alright, again, the second ones come before the first one. Psychonauts and Psychonauts 2. Ooh, man. Psychonauts is like... So Psychonauts... is kind of a third-person platformer game. Where the sort of concept is the levels are sort of inside people's heads, right? The dialogue in this game is great. The worlds are great. I mean, it looks a little bit dated. It is, because it's 2005, and I don't even think that's the original release date. This game has the best level design, probably, of any game I've played. It's like really up there. Like this level in particular. This level, which I won't spoil too much, but this level that you see a screenshot of, excellent. The fact that the levels are all representations of the characters' minds is really interesting, and it's done very, very well. Yeah, God, it's like... It's close to being a masterpiece, this game. I think it's definitely like up there with Cave Story and Hollow Knight. I definitely put it like somewhere around these three, right? And these could go into the masterpiece tier if I was being honest. But yeah, all of these three are like contenders for being like a masterpiece. I can't really fault this one. I can't really say like this is. Yeah, I don't know. I think this is very, very good. Psychonauts 2. I would place that more near the bottom of the sort of loved part of the tier. Psychonauts 2 is basically the same concept. It's got like a more fleshed out story. It's higher budget, but I think that the level design was a little bit lacking compared to the first game. Obviously, it looks like a whole lot better. But I thought that like the first game, it maybe dealt with some of the issues in a different way, and like the overworld in this game is equally as good, if not maybe even a little bit better than the first one. It's kind of similar, to be honest with you. I like the outdoor area. I like the camp area of the first one. I like the camp area of the second one. I mean, yeah, there's kind of boss fights in this game. There sort of are in the first one too. I think the boss fights are probably a bit better. Maybe the average of this game is a little bit higher, but the highs of Psychonauts 1 are like better than the highs of Psychonauts 2, I think. Personally, I think that they're, you know, really excellent, and maybe that's just like nostalgia talking. Maybe I'm looking through the first game with rose-tinted goggles, but this was definitely my favorite game that came out last year. My favorite game that I played last year was Outer Wilds, I think. But this is like my favorite game that came out last year, so I'd put it down here. I think that's a reasonable thing. All right, and yeah, I think, you know, probably enough said about these games. Play these games; they have great story. They're great to watch, great to play. You know, they're just like, oh, this level was great. The Bob's Bottles level and then the psychedelic level was really cool. So like, there's a lot of cool stuff. Like the level design's still really, really good in this game. It's still going in this like top tier. Yeah, I think it's great. Rainworld is the best game on this list. And most people will disagree with me on that. Rainworld is... I could talk for hours about this game. I really could. The trailer doesn't sell anything. This is another game where like you should go into it completely blind. But you're gonna have like a not fun time. You're not gonna enjoy this game for like most of the first playthrough that you play through it. And like, why should you? Like, there's no reason that... Like, this game doesn't want you to enjoy it, and there's no reason that you should enjoy it. Which doesn't seem like a good selling point, but it really is the best game. I think the thing that this game does so amazingly, I think this is like the most real feeling world of any game I've played, because it's kind of an ecosystem simulator, right? So the way that this game works, without being too spoilery, is like the world is perfectly capable of existing without you. You are just like something that exists in the world, right? You're not like the main character. You're not the protagonist. So it's not... This game is very, very hard. It's not going to be fair. It's not going to be, you know, reasonable towards you. It's not like a game in many ways, right? It's just kind of you exist in this world. And if you want to like make progress, or if you want to like, you know, sort of get anything done or kind of get something out of the game, you have to overcome these kind of insurmountable odds, which are really, you know, not your own fault. And I think that makes for very interesting gameplay, and it actually makes you more immersed. It makes you like more tied to your character, which I mean, like, look at this as well. The art is beautiful. I think the music's good as well. The music's kind of underrated in this game. Um, but it's a difficult game. It's not like... Again, there's so many things about this game, though, that are, like, even further than that. Like, it has exceptional depth of mechanics. Or you wouldn't know it, because the game doesn't tutorialize that before. At all. It has, obviously, like, exceptional art in this. I think it has like narrative that is tied into the gameplay in kind of the way that I was talking about, in just a way that no other game does. The AI is exceptional. Like, the AI will just fuck you a lot. And it'll feel like very RNG, but the AI is like extremely smartly programmed to just kind of own you. Yeah, the game's not meant to be fun. Like, why should it be? It's not for you. It just kind of exists. And I think that that's a very unusual thing to do, and I think that's like a genius thing to do. I think that this game is, you know, a game that a lot of people are not going to enjoy, but like I recommend it to everyone because it's like, it's good for you. Like, you should play it because you don't enjoy it. It's like, it's good for you to play it. It really is. You might like actually have like some kind of like influence on you. This might be a thing that like has a lasting effect on you, because it was for me. I definitely experienced that. I definitely felt like this game is like has changed like the way that I look at the world, and is like really spoken to me. And I don't think there are many games that do that. I think this game is brilliant. This is like my favorite game on this list. It's not my favorite game of all time, but it's up there for sure. It's like maybe like top 3, top 5, somewhere up there. But of the last 10 years, I mean, yeah, it's like number 1. All right, moving on. Shovel Knight is the next game. Shovel Knight is like a very solid indie platformer, and it came out in 2014, which I remember being like a really bad year for games. It was like the only game that was like somewhat good. It came out in that year. It's very reminiscent of Mega Man to me. Very, very reminiscent of Mega Man. A lot of people really like this game. I'm not so about it. Like, I think it's just like a old school platformer game. Like, it's fine, but like if I was going to play a game like this, I would probably play Mega Man or like Gimmick or something like that over these games. Like a NES game, you know. I think I'd rather play that than this. So I don't know. It's like there's nothing wrong with this game. It's good, but I just found it kind of mediocre, and I know a lot of people like it. You know, it's like I just think when it came out, it was like the best game that was coming out because there was literally nothing. Yeah, this game just doesn't stick with me. It's like a good game, but it's, you know, I kind of put it around Braid. It's not great. Slay the Spire. I'll show this. This is like considered by a lot of people to be the best roguelike of all time, I know, and have like the best mechanics of any like card game. So it feels really unfair to put it where I'm gonna put it, but like this is like a fun distraction occasionally. Yeah. Maybe my favorite game released in the past few years, Northern Lion, who's a streamer I watch a lot of, right? Like, a lot of people, and this guy plays a lot of roguelikes, so I take his word for it that it's like an extremely deep game. I just don't get it, man. Like, I can't do well at this game, and I don't enjoy this game particularly, like this format. I felt like Monster Train, where the kind of loop is that things can become exponential and go crazy a lot, is kind of more fun to me than a game that's like very, very well balanced. This is like the chess of these games, right? It's kind of like the chess of roguelikes, and I kind of like things to be a bit more crazy. I think this too, like, they have a similar problem for me, where it's just like it's too balanced, it's too well done. So I didn't really care for this. All right, Solar Ash. Solar Ash is not on Steam yet. It's on Epic Games, but there's a trailer for it. There he is. So this game is by the same people. It's by Annapurna, the publisher, and then Heart Machine, who are the guys who did Hyper Light Drifter. And in many ways, this game is like a 3D Hyper Light Drifter in terms of like the gameplay loop and in terms of the sort of it's kind of like kind of Shadow of the Colossus-y though, right? Like, and the movement and the mechanics are all really cool in this game, and I think like the visuals and the landscapes are gorgeous, right? I'm showing the gameplay trailer. This is like very respected. Actually, I think Sativa came into my chat and said this game is a lot like Sonic Adventure, and I kind of agree in terms of mechanics. Honestly, I think it controls a lot better than those games, and I think that it's a lot less cheesy than those games are. But it is a little bit. If I had one criticism of this, I felt like it was a little bit formulaic. Like there are a lot of bits where it was like the same cutscene over and over again. Which, like, it's fine, but I just felt like it could have been, like, if it had taken a real twist at any point, that would have been really fun and survived. But I kind of predicted, like, sort of, I kind of had an idea of how the plot was going to go with this game, which I didn't with Hyper Light Drifter. So I think, in terms of, like, mechanics, this game is probably better than Hyper Light Drifter. In terms of art, it's probably on a par. And then in terms of like story and stuff, I would say it was less good. And like landscape design, it's kind of on a par. So it's like a hard one for me because I played this. This is the most recent game I played on this list. I would definitely recommend playing this to anyone. I think, you know, I kind of have like a recency bias in this list, which might be bad. Like, is Inscryption really more enjoyable than ABZÜ? Yeah, probably. Is this better than this? Probably not. I'd probably place this... I'm, like, moving things around a lot in this tier, because it's, like, hard with a liked tier, you know, because I like a lot of games, as you can see. But yeah, my voice is getting tired, too. Yeah, I think I put this, like, here. This looks more reasonable. Like, this should be the top row, this should be the second row. Yeah. This is more like it. Yeah. Let's see. Where was I? We were talking about Solar Ash. I would put it like near the bottom of Loved. I think it's like a close to Brothers. I'd also like bump this up. I'd put this around here, I think. Psychonauts 2. I think it's below Lisa, but is it above Half-Life 2 Episode 2? It's about equivalent. Yeah. Space Funeral. Sarah really likes this game. For me, this game is... How do I feel about it? It's like an okay RPG Maker game. I think I place it a bit lower than Off. Like, I think I like Off more than it. I think I'd place it near the top. I'm just going to copy this because I was just sent this on Steam. I don't know if Donovan's watching, but like... Let me paste this in. This is Luigi taped to the TV. I think that's a funny image, sorry. Yeah, I think I would place this like somewhere here. Like near the bottom of Light. I enjoyed this game, but I wasn't really about it. I think I've played a lot of kind of weird RPG Maker games now, and this isn't the one that I vibe with the most, but I know Sarah really liked it, so, you know, maybe I'd bump it up. I, like, now, after having played it, I kind of thought it was good. Now I'm kind of like, do I like it more than these other games? Looking at this list, probably not. I should show what Space Funeral is, before I go on through this. Space Funeral 3D trailer. I mean, this could be cool. This game in 3D might actually be sick. I want to watch this. But yeah, it's like kind of a standard RPG Maker game, except it's surreal. which, you know, that's been done. To be fair, this was an early game, so this is probably around the same time as Off. Or maybe a bit later, I actually have no idea. I found some of it, like this area, hilarious. Because, like, I don't know. My favourite part on this is like, maybe I should put a spoiler warning up for this, but there's, like, Dracula's castle, and Dracula's just kind of, like, a chill guy who plays the piano and stuff. I kind of like that. But, yeah, Space Funeral's okay. If you like this kind of weird RPG Maker game, it's definitely worth a play, but it's not something that I would prioritize over some of the other games on this list. STRAFE. Let's see if they have the trailer for this game. The trailer for this game is crazy. And the game is so disappointing. Comparatively. Like, the gameplay, they did like whoever the marketing team for this game was, like, this is a first person shooter, like old school roguelike game, which ticks a lot of boxes for me. Is this this is it. This is the trailer, dude. This is the trailer. God, this trailer is so good.
It's my turn.
Trevor, don't want. Too fast.
Trevor, you're not playing that revolutionary extreme combat simulator STRAFE, are you?
No.
My God, this trailer is so good.
No, Trevor. You'll just die.
God, this is such a good trailer. What, like?
Mind-blowing ultra-real sci-fi action.
Just everything about this.
Strength, either triggering advanced AI, auto-generating levels of out-of-this-world carnage. Strength, short-lived life, death-defying death.
I think this trailer is so good. Like, not sure if I'm allowed to show this on Twitch, but we'll see.
How could you? He was just a boy.
So, like, really good trailer, right? Gameplay I really didn't enjoy. Like, it was very samey, which is such a shame, because, like, I think it could have been really good. Like, I love old school FPS. I love roguelikes, so this is like a good marriage, but it didn't work out that well for me in this game. So yeah, shame. Like, what a great trailer. So yeah, I'm gonna say this. I didn't care for this. Probably like down here. No, it's not worse than Dark Souls 2. Fuck that game. Subnautica. This is a weird one. I've like watched playthroughs of this game now, so I'm unlikely to ever play it the full way through. I have played more than an hour of it. I think most people know what this game is. It's gonna be like a meh. Because it's just, I don't know. I have the same thing with this game that I have with something like Minecraft, where there's a whole lot to do, and I feel like I just kind of want to explore around. I don't actually want to do like any crafting or any like work in these games. That's not for me. I think this game is beautiful, but like if I just want to swim around with the fish, why don't I play ABZÜ, right? Like, it's a really good game. It's just not. Like, I've watched a playthrough. It's a sort of game where I'd much rather watch someone else do it than play it myself. And for that reason, I'm probably never going to play it. I think this game's interesting. It does a lot of stuff interesting, but I don't care about like creating tube colonies and like crafting big boats and stuff. I just want to like flow around and experience the story. If there was like a story mode of this game where I just got to swim around and I didn't have to like worry about upgrading stuff or dying or stuff, you know, like I would. But that is what ABZÜ is, so I would just play ABZÜ. So for that reason, it's down here. Super Meat Boy. I'm very meh on Super Meat Boy as well. It's an old school. I mean, most people who know about indie games know about this game too, but it's an old platformer, indie game platformer, like one of the first ones. It's kind of like the original equivalent. I don't think there's like a gameplay trailer, but you get the idea. It's a platformer. It has like cameos from like other characters, so BIT.TRIP.RUNNER that I talked about earlier is in there. It's a very good game. It's just not my thing. It also, I think, feels a little bit dated. Like, do I like this more than Isaac, which, you know, has kind of outstayed this? No. It's got the head crab from Half-Life. It's got like different things in it. But yeah, I think this is very mediocre. I also think SUPERHOT was mediocre. I was not a huge fan of SUPERHOT. Do I put it here? I probably put it above these. Around the middle. It's just like a very mediocre game overall, I thought. I think in VR, this game would be excellent, and I think watching clips of this was really cool. I think this game would be really fun in VR. It's like the gimmick is time moves when you move, and it does this like very meta thing. And I think when I played this, I was very worn out of games that do this very kind of like meta fourth wall breaking type stuff. I felt like it had been kind of it was kind of tired at this point. So yeah, I think it's an okay game. I don't know. I think so I disagree. I think the gimmick is kind of fun to play with, but I don't think, like, it's a short game, and I don't think you could keep it going for very long. I think it would be really, really fun in VR, though. Yeah, it looks a lot cooler than it plays. I agree with you there, though. It looks a lot cooler than it plays. Alright. Binding of Isaac. I played so much of this game. The original Rebirth, the new DLC. It's gotta be up here somewhere. Like, it's definitely like the best non-Noita roguelike, because this game's kind of almost not a roguelike, right? I mean, everyone knows Binding of Isaac, right? I mean, the trailers don't, I think, even show off gameplay. Let's have a look. Yeah, may contain content inappropriate for children, no shit. Yeah, I don't think this game even has, but it's basically like a randomized like 2D Zelda dungeon with all these different abilities and this kind of stacking and the ability to get crazy runs. It's a really good game. I've played so much of it. I'm kind of tired of it. I've kind of had enough of it at this point. But God is it, God is it good. I like the original Binding of Isaac more in some ways. I think there was like the ability to make every run go crazy in different ways, which was kind of interesting if you knew enough about the game, and some of the more bizarre bugs existed. But now that's kind of the case in this one too now. I think I wouldn't play the original over Rebirth. I think some of the sounds and the music is better in the first one, I think. But yeah, I like this game a lot. That's all I can say about it. I've been sent to streamable. Rate this streamable. Oh, this is a... Ooh, this is a frag clip. This is really nice, Riro. Is this, I don't know if you're streaming it. I don't know if you're watching right now, but this is really nice. Is it for the 100 video? because that was sick. I really liked it. The flow of that's really cool. Yeah, the flow of it's really good. Anyway, back to the list. What was the last thing I put on here? Binding of Isaac. Everyone knows what the Binding of Isaac is, I feel like. So, Space Funeral 3D. Ooh. Whoa. Show the video. It's a TF2 video, if you've ever played TF2. I don't know. This guy in my chat, Sinu. I don't know if Rero's going to be mad at me for previewing this, but there you go. It's a smooth, and then it's another one, and then a guy hits an air shot, and it's nicely done. There you go, there's your video. We played together? What was your alias? Was it Sinu? Am I just an idiot and I don't remember you? Because that's very embarrassing. If so. Sinu with a 3. Okay. I don't remember, but I've played this game with so many people, I feel really embarrassed now. Oh no. This happens sometimes. Stanley Parable. Like, were we on a team together? That would be the worst if we were on a team. Okay. It's the Stanley Parable. Yeah, the Stanley Parable is on Steam. It's a source mod originally. The Stanley Parable. I really like this game. I don't know if I'd put it in love. I think I would. It's very clever. It's it's basically the first game. Yeah, 2013. It's the first game. I played the source mod version of this before. It's the first game that ever did this meta thing. The narrator gimmick is really funny, where you disobey the narrator who says what you're about to do. It's got lots of endings. It goes to places that you really don't expect. Definitely like one of my favorite source mods of all time. I really like the aesthetic of the kind of source game office thing. It works very well for this as well. God, yeah, great game. If you like kind of like short story driven, it's almost like a walking simulator type game. I'd put it around here, I think. Sort of like a walking simulator, but like that's kind of unfair to say because you have like a lot of direction. I always find that term disparaging, walking simulator. So yeah, I would put this up here. The Swapper. The Swapper, I'm pretty sure, is actually the same studio that made Noita. Yeah, these are Finnish names. Yeah, right, Nolla Games. It's by Nolla Games, yeah. This game was interesting. I feel like I didn't enjoy this game that much at the time. But given that they made Noita, it might be something to revisit. You can see the general mechanic here, where you have different bodies. And it's kind of quite physics-driven in a similar way to Noita. You can swap between the like consciousnesses of the bodies. And I think that there's some interesting stuff that they talk about with regard to what's my ETF2L? My ETF2L is just Zesty with the UK flag. Yeah. Let's see. I think this won a lot of awards, apparently. So the puzzles in it are kind of well designed, but I didn't find them super capturing, and I didn't find the game really amazing at the time. I felt like it was kind of, it was a good game, but you're kind of oversaturated at that time with these sort of puzzle games that have sort of one mechanic that makes them kind of stand out, right? There's a lot of games that are like that. They're kind of like not exactly a platformer, because this one isn't really, but like they're a puzzle game where you solve a puzzle and there's this sort of key gameplay mechanic that they do. and I didn't find this one so captivating. Like the swapping mechanic, like it's okay. It has a few interesting mechanics. It's definitely well designed. I also thought, and this is going to be a spoiler if anyone cares for spoilers about this game, but this game has a very interesting kind of, it does this kind of effective horror where it talks about the kind of consciousness swapping thing. And I can't remember too much, but I think the plot of this game is you go on your spaceship, and you sort of you're trying to get to like a rescue spaceship. You're like stuck in the space station. I also think this game is, looking at it, might be like claymation or something, which makes it cooler because I kind of think that that's interesting. I definitely remember the art of this game looking weird because it's like real material textures. It's odd. So that's like a thing in its favor. It's unusual. The ending of this game, you like get on your spaceship, or you're about to get on the spaceship, and then you see yourself get on the spaceship, right? Instead of you, like, if that makes sense, you see like another copy of yourself get on the spaceship. So it's kind of spooky. It's kind of like an effective horror story thing. It's like the horror ending twist where like you've been swapping with all these bodies the whole game, and then you see like a different version of yourself get on the spaceship and you're left behind, which I kind of liked. I thought that was cool. But overall, I felt like this game was kind of mediocre. So I'm going to take the spoiler warning off now. I felt like it was kind of mediocre. Like I really liked some parts of it. I didn't like other parts of it. I felt like, you know, it's around here. It's around something like Gonner, where maybe I should play it again and just give it more time. Alright, Undertale. I think most people know what this game is. This is like an interesting one, right? Like whatever you say here, people are gonna be mad because like people are very polarized by this game. I feel like, because it had sort of this sort of very interesting fan base, shall we say, right? I think this game is great. I think this game is really well written. I actually think this is like one of my favorite games of the last 10 years, and I'd go as far as to call it like a masterpiece, but only just. Like, it's a very similar level, I would say, to these three games. I think that these three games are also like really, really good, really, really solid. And they could go up into this tier, but I think the writing in this is very, very funny. Some of it, yeah, it's a little cringeworthy. I think it's the first game. I mean, I really like Earthbound. Earthbound is my favorite game of all time. And what is going on there? That is not part of the game. Okay, let's see. This game makes me laugh. Like, this game is kind of a love letter to Earthbound in many ways, so it's kind of pandering to me, but there's a lot of these kind of surrealist, odd RPGs that have similar senses of humor, and this spawned a lot of things. Is obviously hugely influential on a lot of stuff. I think what sets this game apart is it felt very fresh, because I'd played a few of these other games, right? Like, I'd played Off before this. I'd played like Lisa the Painful. I think I'd played a couple of other things which maybe even aren't on this list that I'd have to think about. And I think that like Undertale is by far the best one in terms of like having new mechanics. I actually think that Hylics 2 is like up there. I think Hylics 2 is like the second best of these that I've played. But this came out more recently. But at the time this felt really fresh. I was like, oh man, like they're doing the Earthbound thing, right? It's like clearly a very big love letter to that. But they're putting their own twist on it, and they're really making it its own game. And like it's just it's a new thing, like the kind of mechanics of the fighting and stuff like that. And like it was a longer game, because most of those games were a lot, like maybe like 1 hour, maybe a couple of hours, and this game is longer than that, has more content. It's also one of the first games, aside from maybe Stanley Parable that I've talked about here, right? It's 2015 versus 2013, to do the whole like breaking the fourth wall, like directly addressing the player type thing. And I think what's effective in this game is it kind of keeps that to something of a minimum, right? Because Earthbound does it too, and I think all of that stuff is more effective when it is less frequent. So I think this, like, I really like appreciate this game for doing that. And I, genuinely, I think this is a good game. It's not as good as like some of the other games I think on this list, right? I think it's very definitely up there, and I think it deserves to be called a masterpiece. Like, it's extremely good writing and like mechanics. You really can't fault the game, except for being that like you don't like it, or like you don't like the fan base. You're just not the sort of thing that you're into. But I don't think like technically you can fault this game very much. Perhaps the art is not the best. So yeah. Let's see. VVVVVV. I love this game. The soundtrack's brilliant. It's a platformer. So basically it's another of these indie platformers. It's 2010, man. This is an old game. Where you are going through, it's basically got one gimmick. For whatever reason though, like, this is the first game that really did this that I really enjoyed. And I still think this game feels really good. It's really fun to play. It's very simplistic, but it's just really enjoyable. So the gameplay mechanic here that you can't see because there's no trailer is that you can go upside down. So you can flip gravity, and basically you flip directions, and there's like screen wrapping. There's some areas where there's sort of trampolines that flip you back automatically and stuff. The soundtrack to this game is like one of the strongest soundtracks to any game, so that like really helps put it up there for me. It's a great game. I don't know what else to say. VVVVV is like just I, for some reason, like a lot of other games that just do this, they don't get away with it, right? But like this game gets away with it. This game is like good enough despite kind of being simplistic. It's like, it's kind of one of those things where like simplicity is perfection. It's it's just like exactly the right length for what it is. So I'd put it like up in the loved. This is like a classic. This is a true classic. I gotta put it like up here. Alright, Wandersong. Wandersong's an interesting game. It's hard to place. Wandersong, I played this game. This is like an extremely cutesy indie game, right? Like, if you don't like things that are extremely cute, I mean, look at this, right? Like, I enjoyed this game a lot because I was going through like a really bad patch when I played this. So this is kind of what I needed. Just something that was like almost completely had no conflict in it. Because this game has, I mean, there's a little bit, right? But like, this game is very little conflict in it, and it's kind of got this kind of paper cut style. It's very pretty. Paper cut, paper craft, paper, I don't know. Like, there's sort of layers to the landscape. Let's see if there's like more gameplay in a trailer. This game's cool. There's a lot of interesting like singing mechanics that kind of direct platforming. The story's interesting. It's very upbeat. It's fun. The soundtrack's actually really, really good in this game as well. I think a lot of people, like, I think it's less known than it ought to be. You can kind of see like what it looks like, that it kind of hits a lot of stereotypes for a lot of people where they might not like it. It's maybe a little bit, and I think people might find this about like games like Undertale as well. It's a little bit, maybe kitsch is the word, right? It's like, it's a little bit saccharine, I guess. Might be the term that some people would describe it as, right? It's a little bit too cute for its own good. But I personally like find it enjoyable. The mechanics are pretty good. The story's interesting. Like this part, oh god, this part's great, where you're like singing, and then like you sing to move the boat around, and then everyone starts singing, and it's just kind of fun because the singing like only comes in over the instrumental when you're actually moving the boat, and when you stop it, the singing isn't there, which is kind of great. I would definitely, if you like this sort of game, I would give this a try, because I definitely think this is like worth a playthrough. I think this game is like underrated. I'm surprised this game is not more popular. But yeah, it's not anything like crazy special. So would I put it in loved? I don't think so. I'd probably put it somewhere around Blasphemous or something. Maybe like here. I think it's a strong liked. Alright, so the last game in here is an interesting one. So, this is a game that I have played in the last 10 years for more than an hour. It's based on a game that... This trailer is fucking funny, dude. This is an edu game. Where's Minecraft? Oh, yeah! Well, predominantly single player is like in the rules here. So predominantly single player, Minecraft, I mostly have played it multiplayer if it's in the last 10 years. So, yeah. It's kind of hard to rate multiplayer games, right? On the same scale. So this game is an edu game that I had. It's like a funny one to be the last one on the list. It's an edu game that I had when I was... I think I first played this when I was 3, right? And it's definitely like I think it's meant for like ages 8 and up or whatever, but I played it when I was 3 anyway. This is the best edu game of all time. Like, unironically, this teaches you like mathematical concepts that will take you up until like age 11. If you give this to like a small child and like just let them work it out, and they don't even need to like really be able to read or anything, or you like play through it with them, this is the best edu game of all time. So like this, I genuinely think that this is like a really weird one. I genuinely think this is a masterpiece. And like there's definitely a lot of nostalgia for me with this game because I played this game a lot as a child. But the puzzles and the mechanics in this game are like you could incorporate this game, right? Like you could incorporate these game mechanics, and this would be like a New York Times puzzle thing. Like it's like as fundamental and like as well designed as something like a like Sudoku or something like that. It's really, really good puzzle games. I have like a huge amount of respect for this game. Also, it's really hard. Like at the hardest levels on this, really, really difficult. This game I do consider it's like a hidden gem, and I'm really glad that they updated it and put it on Steam. Although the original like 1995 or whatever graphics are better, but this is like a lot of people would have had this in their PC class, like their computer class in school, if they were kind of growing up in the 90s or 2000s. And it is just like, I think the crazy thing about this game is you don't like, there's not a single number in it. Like if you look anywhere through it, there's no numerals, right? Like the closest thing is this, there's 2 dots in this. And yet it teaches you like high order mathematical concepts. Like where is it? I can't find it now, the screenshot. Yeah, this puzzle right here. The solution to this puzzle is literally algebraic. Like this is algebra. You're doing algebra here. Like simultaneous equations in algebra. Like, it is crazy. Like the mathematical concepts this teaches you and like the logic concepts are so good. Like I don't even know, like so fundamental. Really, really great game. Really good edgy game, and like if you consider it like in the category it like stands well and above like any edgy game I've seen or played, because I played a few as a kid, right? My parents liked having those. Probably like some of the first games I played were educational games for kids, and like this shit, like yeah, the best edgy game of all time. Like uncontested, like not anything comes close to it. So like I'm gonna put it at the bottom because it's like an edgy game, but like yeah, like realistically it could go at any place in here. It's kind of an anomalous one, but I would recommend it if you have children and you're watching this for some reason. Play this game. Have them play this game. This is a double up, so we're ignoring this. I think this may have replaced something. So if there's ever an improvement to this, then a new version of this, I might find what this replaced and put it back in. But that's the tier list. So now I'm going to do the ordering. I think I did the ordering as I went. So I think we're pretty much good on the ordering. Rainworld is like definitely at the top here for me. Outer Wilds is definitely second. Dark Souls and Noita like kind of interchangeable for me here. Undertale's definitely like, I like it a lot. I don't know if it's like less good than all these games and Zoombinis here. It's hard for me to not say these are masterpieces, right? Like these three, they're like a level below. I think VVVVVV realistically goes more like somewhere here. I think I overrated it a little bit. It's a classic, but it's not up there. Hylics 2 over Hyperlight, they're about equivalent. These two are about equal. These two, I kind of say similar tier. Yeah, I'm happy with this. This, I mean, it's harder to rate newer games that I've played more recently around here. Deltarune Chapter 2, I'm happy with it being like in the love tier, but like low down. Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons, yes. This could end up being higher or lower because it's the most recent game I played on this list. ABZÜ, yeah, I'm happy with like the ordering in this is kind of fucked, to be honest with you, because like I like all of these games a lot in this kind of first half up to about here, and I also kind of I it's difficult, right? I like everything in this list. I definitely feel like the bottom of this list is correct. If I'm gonna do like, is Antichamber better than Inside? Yes. Is Antichamber better than Enter the Gungeon? About equivalent. Is Antichamber better than Grim Fandango? Probably also about equivalent. Are they better than Monster Train? Maybe. Maybe this, maybe this goes down a bit, but again, sort of equivalent. It's hard to rank roguelikes compared to these. Oh yeah, I definitely remember enough about Half-Life 2 to distinguish Episode 1 and Episode 2, but I played both these games. I played both Episode 1 and Episode 2 in 2017. Episode 1 is like very mediocre. I talked about this, right? But Episode 1, most of it is fighting zombies in a parking lot. The beginning's good, the end is good. But most of the game is just you fighting zombies in a parking lot. Episode 2, you drive around with the car, it's all green, you do the grub caves, it's got the really cool ending. This is like a much better game. This might even be better than like base Half-Life 2. This is like the best of what Half-Life 2 has to offer, and this is like the forgettable part of Half-Life 2. Yeah, Episode 2 is like spectacular, really, really good game. Episode 2's up there. Yeah, there's like a big variance in this. The biggest variance is in Dark Souls. Dark Souls 2 fucking sucks, man. Yeah, the car sequence with the Striders, yeah, it's great. It's really, really good. Episode 2 is really, really good. I'm happy with the bottom of this, I think. No, it's a Short Hike is above Journey. Is a Short Hike above Inside? I think so. I think a Short Hike is up here. Maybe above Antichamber as well. These are like very equivalent to me. Not above Enter the Gungeon. I think this is the ordering. I think this is fair. Blasphemous feels like it's a bit low, but I haven't played the DLCs. But like it's in this top row for sure. Yeah, I think that's fine. This Half-Life 2 Episode 1, is it better than Limbo? Yeah. Is Dishonored better than Limbo? I think so. Is the Swapper better than Limbo? I don't think so. Is Gonner better than the Swapper? It's about equivalent. Is Shovel Knight better than Swapper? I'm going to go with this. Is Braid better than Shovel Knight? No. Is Deltarune Chapter 1 better than Braid? Yes. Is SUPERHOT better than Braid? I think not. Is Bastion better than SUPERHOT? Probably. Is Bastion better than Braid? No, maybe. I didn't complete this game. I never played it. Is Fez better than SUPERHOT? Probably, but I don't know. This is kind of where I'm at with this. Slay the Spire is definitely the best of these ones that I didn't care for, because it's like objectively just a good game. Same with this. This is kind of whatever. This I didn't play that much of. This I didn't like, really. This is like a game, yeah, that I played for a Steam achievement. So I think this is it. I think this is the ranking, the official ranking. It didn't change that much. Yeah, there we go. 662, 61, I think, because this was a duplicate. Yeah, it's like pretty Gaussian as well, right? Like, in fact, it's symmetrical, so it must be 62. It's completely symmetrical. Like, most in the liked tier, In fact, yeah, it's almost like 3 rows, 2 rows, 1 row. It's like one short of 1 row. Isn't that cool? Like that's. I knew that this would be the most in this tier. It's kind of perfect. That wasn't intentional, by the way. That was just kind of how it worked out. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with this rating. So yeah, that's my stream. I did it. How long was this? Like, how long did this go on for? It was several hours, right? Like, I think I started at about 3 or something. Has this been 3 hours? It could be. But I'm happy. I'm happy I did this. So yeah, yeah. It felt like it. My voice is really sore. But I wanted to do this, so now I've got like something to link people if they want recommendations for games. Because anything in this tier and up, I would happily recommend. And even in this tier, I would like recommend these games to people if they're interested, right? Like some of these you kind of have to play the other ones. And like Dishonored, I was kind of like whatever, but I'd still play Dishonored too. Like I'd still try it, It was okay. Like I probably wouldn't recommend or play like sequels to these games. Well, I would to this game because I know Dark Souls 3 is supposed to be different. But yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah. So yeah, I agree with this. That's the end of my stream. Goodbye.